Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Your Morning Drive. I am your host with the most, Logan Lewis, and it's good to be back with you today. We're live, not really, but we're recording on virtually today, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. But before we do, I just wanted to let you guys know, if you enjoy what we do here, what I do here, please send it to at least one friend, one family member, one coworker, your neighbor, your ex-girlfriend, your new girlfriend, whoever you want to send it to them, and bless their morning drive with your morning drive. That was great. If you want to support us, you can do so more than just listening. You can follow along on Instagram and TikTok at Your Morning Drive. If you want to follow me personally, you can at Logan A. Lewis on Instagram as well, if you want to keep up with my personal life. But other than that, we just appreciate you. We've had a lot of great episodes lately. I just, as the day I'm recording this, I had just announced the other night that the last episode I recorded was the most listened to one I had ever done, which was an incredible thing to see. So we're just firing in all cylinders, and today's guest is no different. The guest I am sitting in front of today is actually a brother of a very, very close friend of the program. He is a very talented musician who lives with his family in Wisconsin. He goes by the alias of, is it Booker Fraudger?
Correct.
Hell yeah. Please welcome Mr. Brock Hames, a.k.a. Booker Fraudger. Hello.
Thanks for having me on, man. Such a pleasure. As I was saying right before we started, tickling your fancy, talking about how impressed I was, how consistent you've been with your podcast and whatnot. And you said you just love and enjoy talking with people. And I said, it shows, and it's, I think you're great at it too. So for me, it's, cool to be on like the next Joe Rogan.
Well, that's nice. That's definitely the goal, man. I definitely appreciate the kind words. It's nice to hear it here and there, because I'm sure you feel this way about your music. Like you love doing it. You pour your heart and your soul into it, and especially when you're like a solopreneur or an entrepreneur or like a creator or a musician. No one's right there telling you good job every day like a boss would be, like in like a 9-to-5 job. No one's standing over you telling you that you're killing it every second of the day. Even, if you launch an episode or you launch a song and it, within the first 2 days, it only achieves a certain amount of downloads or plays or whatever. And you're like, well, damn it. But so every once in a while, when someone gives you a compliment, you're like, fuck yeah.
It's nice when, and it's hard too, because the amount of creatives has been so expanded because of technology and the internet. So now it's like everyone's out doing something really cool, to be honest. Like everyone's doing cool stuff. And it's, you don't get a lot of pat on the backs, but I totally know what you mean.
Do you ever feel like, kind of going off of that statement you just made, do you ever feel like because of the sheer, I don't want to say trivialness or the ease of it, but like you said, technology is at everybody's fingertips right now. Like anybody can do what I'm doing. I mean, yeah, maybe they're not consistent. There's some crazy stat out there that says that most podcasters quit after the first 10, before they even hit 10 episodes. And it's like something crazy like that. And here, this is number 359, I think, which is just absolutely insane. So do you ever wonder if there's too many creatives in the space? Do you think that, bring it on, everyone should be able to pursue their craft? How do you view that?
I think in general, social media and the internet has just ruined humanity. I think that if humans like 50 years ago, 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago, they walked into a house and they saw, for instance, like a family of 5 or 6, and they're all watching different Netflix shows in different rooms of the house. It's like they're not even family. I think normal humans would be shocked, because it's like, in the scope of humanity, from what we know the top to now, this little like weird section of time, like the Industrial Revolution, like, no, it's not normal to send your kid off to school for 8 hours a day and have some stranger instill whatever values they have. Like, things are weird. Like, back in the day, you lived, you made your own food, you were with your parents. Like, it was so much, people were, I think there was just a lot more reverence for modesty in general. Or, I mean, obviously, just a general, even maybe even superstitious fear of God. But I think that gave humans these parameters. But now it's kind of like you see in the Western world, and now I'm getting deeper out of it, but see in the Western world, we've pretty much forsaken God altogether. And I think the proof of the pudding's in the eating of it. And it's just like, people's attitudes, we're so broken out here, and the technology and social media, I think in general, it has caused us to be so prideful about ourselves, and it's like it just hypes up the egoist in us. And then I think, taking it a step further, to put a pin into your question, it's like with the creatives, it's an even heightened status. And then, like you said, you're just judging and weighing your life based upon how good you did. My philosophy has been, when I started Booker Fraudger, I just said to myself, um, I'm going to just make the music that I want and that I love. And when the song is finished, and when the project is finished, and when I put it out to the world, that's the top of the ecstasy for me. There's no other peak. If one person listens to it, I feel just as blessed that I just got to share it with one person. And if a million people do, that's cool too. I'm kind of scared if a bunch of people listen to my music. That's a lot of pressure, you know. It's like, or that type of hype. It just, again, I think, to go back to your question, it's hard being on social media in general. And then for the creatives, I think we feel extra shitty about ourselves. You know, we're always looking at all the goods everyone else has and wondering why we don't meet up. It's very toxic. I hate to say it.
Yeah. I mean, I really respect that mindset of, whether, and I've always said the same thing to people. It's like, because some people, and I'm sure you relate to this as well, some people will say, oh, Brock, you still doing the music thing? How's the music thing working? People giving you that condescending, like, speech about, like, oh man, you're still doing that. And it's like, man, I've always told people, whether a billion people listen to my episodes or if one person listens to my episodes, I don't care. I'll do it probably till the day I die or to the day I physically can't anymore. So personally, I just feel like, as hypocritical of it is, as much as I try to make sure I'm doing the best I can and putting out the most pristine thing as if it's my full-time job,
Mm-hmm.
I at the same time, like, don't care. Like, it's not my job. I'm not paid to do this every day like some people are. Like, why do I treat it that way? It's because no one cares about this podcast more than I do. Just like I'm sure nobody and their dog cares about your music as much as Brock does.
Absolutely.
So,
Excuse me.
so first
That's my
off,
reply.
you are first of all, what's funny about this is, so when I first met Jordan, I knew that he had some brothers. I knew Daniel because I had met him in passing, I think once or twice coincidentally, before Jordan, maybe just out and about, in West Cobb or but then I always knew he had another brother, and that was you. And funny enough, we've been friends for years, but I had just now met you like 2 months ago. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I remember seeing you on. You guys were doing the podcast. Was the first time I ever saw you, and then I was like, "Oh, who's this dude my brother's doing the podcast with?" It
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, who's this cool guy?"
Yeah. So, what's funny enough is the fact that you, at what point, like, I want to get, this is kind of a question, but also a statement. So you, at what point did you leave Georgia and move across the country to start your own life?
It wasn't as a straight line like that. I was going to KSU. I did for 1 year. I've dropped out of 3 college. Beat that, Kanye. You know, like I'm the true college dropout. Music school, regular school, Bible school. You know, I'm touching all categories here. And so I was going to KSU. I originally wanted to do, my major was jazz drum set performance. And then eventually I realized, well, I don't want to be poor the rest of my life, I guess. And, you know, unless you're like Questlove playing on Jimmy Fallon, like that's going to be a
Yeah.
very hard life. Like, I'm a jazz drummer. It's like, and there's a million dudes and their moms that are better than me. So it didn't matter. I didn't originally get into the jazz program. Like when I tried out, they eventually when the spring came along and like the drummer had graduated, then like an invitation was extended. But I had already decided, oh, I'm just going to be an English teacher. Blah blah blah. Just did the college thing for a year. Not my vibe. Not
Hmm.
my vibe. I'm a very diligent person. I love to learn. I love to study. Like I read theological books like nobody's business. I'm listening to them like anything I get my hands on. I'm very astute and I love to study and apply myself. But uh, it was just, and that was around the time too when like kind of the college atmosphere was changing and like everything was just getting kind of tense and like I don't know. It just everyone seemed super unhappy to me, and I didn't find any fulfillment in being there. I'm like, dude, you have the grace of God if you can go through school. Like Jordan, boom, you know, he just did school, he did it, you know him, he's like that. But I just basically I started getting into tons of drugs, and I had already been into drugs when I was in like middle school, but I like took a break in high school. It was kind of weird, and then I got out of high school, got into them again. Just kind of doing that thing where like you get out of high school and you're just kind of floating for a second if you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
Me loving music. Go ahead. Uh, Me loving music and stuff. I kind of always thought like there didn't really seem like a normal path for me. You know, like I'd kind of always had that gut feeling, but everyone in your school counselors are telling you you really need to get a degree and you really need to do this, and you just kind of succumb to the pressure. But I had gone through a rough time and then a transformation, and then I moved from Georgia in 2018. I moved from there to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and my wife's from Wisconsin, so like I always joke we met in the middle there, and we met at Bible school, and we lived in Oklahoma for a couple of years, 2-3 years, young as a young married couple, and then we were like, let's move to Wisconsin, where she's from, and that was 2020 when we moved to Wisconsin, straight in the middle of COVID, and I've been in Wisconsin 5 years now, and it's the best place ever, and I love it.
That's awesome, dude. I had no idea that you guys had lived in Oklahoma. I actually lived in Oklahoma for a period of time back when I was in a freshman and sophomore in high school. I lived right outside of Oklahoma City in
Okay,
Edmond, Oklahoma, is where I lived.
okay, Broken Arrow,
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, 71st Street where that Chick-fil-A is.
Yeah, yeah.
Apartments 2 minutes from that. That's where we lived.
No shit. That's crazy, dude. I had no idea.
That is random. And then then there's a there's a Bible school on every corner up in that joint. We went
Of
to that
course.
one called Rhema with the shield on it.
Yeah.
It was like way way towards down there from where our apartments were, towards the Walmart, kind of down there.
No, that's funny,
But
man. What a
wow,
weird
small
coincidence.
world,
Very
super
much
small world.
so.
How did you
That's
like Oklahoma?
I liked Oklahoma, man. I mean,
They're
it's
nice.
so different than Georgia or even Wisconsin. I mean, it's just such a different place. I mean,
Yeah.
anyone who's never been to Oklahoma, which I feel like is most people, because if you're from Oklahoma, you stayed in Oklahoma. It's one of those places.
And if you move there to go to school, it seems like you just stay there after.
Yep, absolutely. It's a nice area. I mean, there's the Oklahoma City Thunder at the time that I lived there was the big shebang. Everyone was loving that. I mean,
Oh,
oh,
I'm sure it was lit.
like those games were crazy. You know, people always used to ask me like, what was it like living in a state with no football? And I'm not a huge sports guy, but I was like, nah, bro, we don't have football. We have the basketball though. Like people love the Thunder games.
Mm. Downtown Tulsa, also cool. Like the Tulsa
Yes,
Art Museum, and there's like tons of cool stuff down there.
absolutely. Tulsa's really pretty. Um, Carrie Underwood from Tulsa, famous alum there.
And alum. I filmed a music video on one of those buildings. That art building, there's like an outside little thing. I think that was for the
Really?
Camels or coming. Yeah. Shout out
That's
Justin
hilarious.
Massacre.
There you go. There you go. So you pack up, you move cross country. So that's pretty ballsy. I mean, for you to be a young guy at that time, and you're still young, but like to be as young as you were to just say, you know what, screw this, I'm going to pack it up and I'm going to go out west. I mean, that's got to be a pretty big decision that you had to make.
I don't know why I've thought about this a lot in my I feel like your 20s you're kind of processing, in your 20s you're processing the first half of your life and such and making crucial decisions and opinions about those situations. And for whatever reason I've kind of realized that uh I'm a persistent dude. I don't know why. I'll just give the glory to God. It's not anything. I'm just someone that like if I'm into something, I'm 100% in. I'm 110% in. It's like you never met anyone that was in it more. Like my wife, she tried to deny me 3 times. Like I asked her out 3 times over the course of, months and stuff. And like I just think about how so many dudes would have quit. They would not have kept going. But when I think something is worth it, I'm like a effing dog with a bone. Like I will not let go. So I've already, for some reason, had or cultivated that natural disposition that's I think played out in doing music. I didn't realize I just love the music, but now that I'm older, I'm like, man, music, like it takes discipline, it takes work. I know so many good musicians that they have families and like they just stop, and it's because it's like a flame, anything in life, your basketball skills or whatever, like you do have to kindle it. We started a garden this year, and it's like, I tell people, have a garden. It'll teach you so much about life. Because if you don't take care of the weeds in your garden and you don't, put the correct energy in the things that need time and love, the shit ain't going to grow. And also, you're going to have problems on your hands. So, for some reason, I've had that natural disposition. And the motivator, though, was I had just like, I don't know. I pretty much feel like I suffered from like crippling depression till I was like 19. Like I was so downcast in my heart. It was such a hard time and all these things. And I had just like had a come to Jesus literally moment on some shrooms at 2 a.m. at our household, tripping shrooms. Jordan was there playing Eminem, and I'm over here, tripping. I'm like, turn the Eminem off. I cannot do this right now. He's talking about killing his mom or something, and you're over here on a 3-5 zoning out. But basically, like that, it was too much, and I had been tripping a lot up to that point. I was super into psychedelics and everything, and uh I had what happened? Oh yeah, I went upstairs. I took a shower in the dark. I couldn't get out of the shower in the dark. I was 19. I kind of thought, what a effing retard! I can't even get out of the shower. So it was kind of like, like that was a sobering moment. I was just thinking, I'm naked in the dark right now. I can't even get out. It was just like that breaking moment I needed,
Yeah,
to kind of reevaluate my life. And I was
sure.
a very, very selfish human being my whole life, and even more as I just got older and older into my teenage years. And I had my whatever come to Jesus moment, and that's what not forced me, but led me to go to Oklahoma. I was gonna go to music school. I got accepted to the Atlanta Institute of Music after I dropped out of KSU, and I'd gone, visited, got in, like it was cool. It was going to be the first day on a Monday. It like snowed that day or something random. So I didn't get to go. And just that night I started getting this funny feeling like man, I mean, just to be honest, I sat down on my floor and I was like, God, is this what you want me to do? And I just
Yeah.
felt that kind of like, nah, man, this ain't it. And eventually I started to realize, like, I think I want to go to Bible school, you know, like, I think I want to preach or something like that. And so that's what
Yeah.
pushed me to go to back to Oklahoma.
So, at what point through your journey to Oklahoma and meeting your wife and going to Bible school, what at what point did you decide that maybe preaching did you get to a point, is I guess what I'm trying to say, that where you really were considering preaching, like that was going to be what you were going to do, or did you kind of, was it like a quick
Oh, yeah.
lived kind of thing?
No, you like I said earlier, 110% in everything. So like I've had 3 podcasts just preaching. I had one that was yeah, like I dropped like 30, 40 episodes, right? And then I realized my whole theological perspective was dog shit. So I could not in good conscience keep them up. And then I put like 30 more new episodes up. And then it was just like, you know, in an iPhone or like a picture when you're like scrolling out of the picture, you know, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger if you're real
Yeah.
zoomed in. It's like, that's what just kept happening to me, that I kept seeing things just like, whoa, what the heck? So like I deleted another 30 episodes and
Wow.
and then there's still one on me and my wife had one where we did like 8 episodes, but essentially that, like, I labored for years. Like I preached, I went to churches, I did the thing. Like I've traveled churches, I've done worship music for years. Like our dad's a worship leader. I don't know if you knew that. He
Yeah.
did that for
Yeah.
like 30 years, all that. So it was a very natural setting. I've done, you know, summer camps, like anything and everything, children's ministry, music. I did it. Any church I was in, I tried to serve, and I did it totally out of pure heart. Um, you know, most people get burnt out from going to church and like reading the Bible and like praying. Like I didn't feel that way at all. I still don't feel that way. It charges me up. It's restores my soul. It's, you know, it's the other things in life that are weighing me down, truthfully. But
Yeah.
I digress. Then we moved to Wisconsin to start a home church. And I say by the grace of God, it didn't go how I wanted it to go. But essentially, what was the cap on it and what made me stop is I got into ancient Christianity. And I kind of realized that I was just some one off heretical preacher that was preaching my own ideas, you know, and I wasn't really submitting to any form or system, and you know, so it's like someone could say, you're being such a, you know, a jerk to all those preachers and pastors out there. To me, it's like, I was in your shoes. I realized that I was like, who am I? Who am I? Like, there's 2,000 years of Christian teachings. I like, who am I to start telling people how to live their life, this and that? So that's kind of like what started. So like, yes, I was fully planning to do it, and you know, I'll do whatever would come in the future. But I've renounced, like with joy. I tell people like, no, I'm not. I'm not. I'm the people's pastor. That's what I always joke. Like, I'm the dude that, you know, this person might not ever walk into a Orthodox parish and like do liturgy and talk to the priests and stuff, but you know, they might find me door dashing, and I'm gonna try to love them and just, you know, I have so many people I just see on the street. I'll just go up and talk with them, and just to be friends though, not to preach at them, and just they'll come and work with me at a store or something like that. Just, you know, it's much more fulfilling. Like there's those people that'll never, you know, they're gonna see like an icon of Mary in the church and be like, you guys worship Mary, this is weird. And so they would never walk in those doors. But if the only thing I get to be is the person on the street they see, well, that's fine with me. You know, I no longer have to be this head pastor guy, and you know, you're at the mercy of whatever revelation I got that week from God. And you know, I'm not trying to shit on Protestantism, but you know, can't help it.
Do you think your dad being so heavily involved with the church at, well, his whole career essentially, um, do you think that heavily influenced your way of kind of following a similar religious kind of path? You know what I mean?
Even though like I'm not Pentecostal anymore,
Yeah.
that's, you know, that denomination. I'm not Pentecostal anymore. You know, it's a for theological reasons and such of that manner. But I mean, inadvertently, yes. I hated church forever, my whole life. I hated getting dragged to church. Out of me, Jordan, and Daniel, I was the last one that was going to be there, which is the ironic part because now I'm the most into it, probably, in a
Yeah,
sense.
probably.
But they had drums there, so you see the trade off. So eventually, 10 years old, now I'm playing drums with my dad. So absolutely, and even though I disagree with like that whole belief system, I look back now and like I'm like, you know what? My dad, he was a devout man. He served that place. It doesn't matter all these other things that I disagree with. Like totally, like I look back and I'm like, man, you know what? Actually, like that was really cool. Like he poured a lot into that place, and that's super respectable.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, when you're even, any career path, whether same thing with my dad. I mean, on the opposite end of the spectrum, my dad worked at the same company and still does, and he's been there for 30 years and he'll probably retire from this place. And it's like, God, can
Hmm.
you believe like any one person pouring their whole life into some kind of organization? It's really respectable, especially people our age nowadays that are just quick to jump to the next thing that's going to get them the paycheck. And,
Yep.
on
Yep.
one hand, I believe that you should do what's best for you. But on the other hand, I do believe that that kind of loyalty can
Oh my
go,
god.
it can take you anywhere you want to go. I mean, for real.
Having that loyalty, what people understand is that's actually is what's the best for you. Is because anything done in a self-sacrificial manner, it will benefit you no matter what you believe. It can actually benefit you more though if you believe it's benefiting you. Like I'm totally in that mindset. Like something, if you hate doing something, like you probably need to do it. Like there's some sort of ego in you that's telling you like don't do this, it's embarrassing, or maybe it could be 1,000 situations, but I
Sure.
digress.
So at what point? So I'm really curious. I've always been curious. Booker Fraudger, where did that name come from? Do you have some crazy fun story like when Post Malone gets asked where he come up with his name? He says, "Oh, I just threw it in a random name generator and Post Malone
Ah,
popped out." Like, was it anything fun like that, or does Booker Fraudger mean something?
I mean, I would say it has grown to mean something for sure. Actually, for the longest time, I couldn't remember who it was exactly that gave me this name. This name was bestowed upon me, though. Uh, it was we were in drumline, me and my good friends, but 5 or 6 of us in marching band. We did it, 4 years and stuff, and like it was a I mean, you're in the military essentially when you're doing marching band. Like you are with those
Sure.
people too much, and then people start swapping spit, and it's just and swapping girlfriends, and it is just it is like chaos, man. It is chaos in that, but I love music, so it's like that was the place I wanted to be, and it can be a really fruitful place if you get a really good teacher and such. But um, getting so off track. What was your question again? I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. I do the same thing all the time, and you know what? I can't
Okay,
even
great.
remember what I asked.
um,
I do it all the time. I just start rambling, and then like it's horrible in job interviews when they ask
I
me a
know.
question that's supposed to probably be like 2 sentences, but it ends up being like 4 paragraphs, and I'm like, "I'm sorry, did that answer your question?" And then they're like, yeah." And then I get,
Yeah.
of course, in my feedback, they're like, "Oh, you ramble too much." And I'm like, "Great, nice, thanks." Oh, the Booker Fraudger name.
Booker, you're a genius. There it is. Booker Fraudger, our friends in Drumline. For some reason, actually, there was another friend group that I knew, and that I was friends with some of them, and like for some reason, all these cats, they made all these fake, funny names for each other. They were just these wild names, and so then I just kind of took that idea and like I just brought it over to my friend group, and like we just started making names. Like one was Lloyd Barker. Nathaniel Lewinsky. What was the other ones? Castiel Drager. They were just the most, outlandish. And I
Yeah,
was bestowed Booker Fraudger. I don't know why. I just think I like the name Booker always, so I bet it was something
yeah,
like that. And then I don't know where the Fraudger came from, but just when I was in Georgia, I saw my great buddy Ethan, who was in that drum line, And he was like, I think it's crazy you kept the name I gave you. And I was like, oh, you were the one who gave me
Yeah.
the name. So shout out the prophet Ethan Walraven. But Booker Fraudger, I don't know. Yeah, I just knew that name for years. And then I had only been in groups. I'd been in 2 rap groups. I had been in bands and such. And I was like, this was my first time where it was just me only doing the music. It's just me. And I was like, Booker Fraudger, it sounds perfect. And I've just dedicated like Booker Fraudger. It's like, it's this thing. It's the most pure musical part of me. You know, that's what it's kind of become.
Sure. I remember being in the car. I forget where I was going, but Jordan was driving and he puts this song on. I forget what the song is called, but I think that's the first time that I ever made contact with you was he played me a song that I think you were rapping and you were
Oh,
dropping
yeah.
bars in the song. And I remember like, I was like, bro, I need to tell your brother that he's got bars. And he's like, do it then. And I was like, I'm gonna message him on Facebook.
I remember. Yep. That's exactly how it happened.
So at what point, so you did the rap thing, you like you said, with a couple, you were in a couple groups. At what point does it come to I'm doing something on my own?
I've always wanted to like I was in the first grade and I did All Star by Smash Mouth at the talent
Hell
show
yeah.
before it was a meme.
Wow.
And and like that was the first time I ever played on stage. I don't know, how old are you? Are you maybe 6 when you're in the first grade?
Yeah, that sounds about
Something.
right.
Right, 5's about kindergarten, maybe 5, maybe 6, 7, first grade. I'm not too sure, but right around there, 5, 6, 7. Um, First time, just stepped on a stage. I did All Star. I'm sure I just thinking about it now. It's like, you know, I see my dad play all the time, so it's like naturally, I'm probably just like, you know, I want to play. I want to get up and do something
Right.
and perform,
Right.
quote unquote. And I hopped on the stage. I did it one time, and I was just like, yep, I'll do this for the rest of my life. Like, just it was just like beyond the mind. It was like the heart clicking into place with just something that was. It was like, you know, the same feeling you meet when you meet a lady you know you're gonna marry, but you're trying not to tell her that you know you're gonna marry her for a while because you don't want to seem dorky.
Yeah, you don't want to freak her out like on the second date.
Yeah, especially at Bible schools, bro. It's all ring by spring, they say. Now I say that, but ironically, first time me and Kylie ever talked seriously, we both said like we know we're gonna get married, like it's done for. We met in September, we got married in June. Our anniversary's next week. 5 years. Bam.
Happy grand anniversary, my friend. My the day we're recording this, me and Catherine's anniversary was yesterday.
Nice. What'd you guys do?
We we played the Frugal Freddy card and went to Longhorn because we had gift cards.
Ha! That's just wisdom.
Yeah, that's. I mean, you know, back in the day, like people judge you for using gift cards on dates and stuff, but when you're married, no one gives a damn.
No. It's like, let's save this money, baby.
That's right. That's right. Let's go and get some steak, but for $15.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. Um, So one thing I was really interested in asking you, and I think it was the first question I actually wrote down that I was like, I got to ask him this. So a lot of your music, especially under the Booker Fraudger alias, a lot of your music doesn't have vocals. They don't have vocals. It's just pure instrument. It's pure, just you rocking. How does the how's this I mean how's the song creation process when you don't have lyrics? You'll listen to a lot of artists talk about, oh, I had a hook in my head and I just took it from there, or I had a song title in my head. That's another question. How do you come up with a song title with no lyrics? Like how do you do it?
I find lyrics and singing to be the thing that I'm the worst at. It goes probably drums, guitar, bass, piano, and then at the bottom it's like Brock's voice. So
Really?
it's the thing that I'm least comfortable with, but I'm very determined to join the choir at our church, and I've never been a part of a choir, so it's going to be like I'm ready to be humbled, and because the voice is just a muscle. Funny story with my dad, he always tells it about how his mom, keep in mind, you played like organ for the Methodist church for 30 years, like same
Yeah.
type deal. And she said when he was 15 and learning and trying to sing and stuff, like, how do I sound? She's like, sound great. And then years later, she was like, you sounded so awful. You sounded horrible. And but now, like my dad, he's a great singer. He really is. He's an awesome singer. And I think it's the proof that the voice truly is just a muscle. Someone might not have the ear to recognize that they're off. That takes a lot of training too, but that can be trained. And if dogs can be trained, humans can be trained, and it just takes a lot of effort. Where, like you said, like everyone just gives up after the 10th episode of the podcast, or they give up on their job when their job slights them in just a little way. Like our culture is not very accustomed to just enduring and pushing through in this current space and time. But I hope that answered you. Did I answer your question in there somewhere?
I absolutely believe you answered my question. So you answered
How
the
I get
first
it?
one.
It just comes to me.
So to piggyback off of that, then, so how do you name a song without lyrics?
Okay, to add one more to the first question and then go that one. The way it comes to me, I'll just get something in my head. Ooh, what's that? It just comes from the inside out, and then I'm recording something on my phone. This is the song "Sour Melon" off of my project Strawberry Soul Patch. Go and check out, everyone. Available everywhere. It's that rhythm gets inside, and so I'm just thinking, take my iPhone immediately when I know that I have something that is gonna make it to the recording. I do it into my phone. That rhythm sat on my phone for like 5 months, and then I was like, "Ooh, I forgot about this." And then that was the first song I made off of that project. So that was really the first. That was the first time. Sour Melon was the first time I made a song too. I was like, "Wow, this is maybe the greatest thing I've ever made." I just love it. Like, it was so satisfying to get out something that funky. It was like, I've achieved this level of funk. How is it possible? But so and it'll be anything. I could have a drum beat come to me. I could have a bass line come to me. I could have a guitar line come to me. As long as I just get it down, that's all I need is one little thing. And then I just get in the studio, start recording, and it's just magic. I hate coming back to stuff. I just like to do it all in a few hours and just, really get that thing, pump it out, and just, you're working with the juices, you know what I'm saying? It's like that same vibe in podcasting too. And the way that I name the songs is I've always had a very I associate colors with the sounds that I see in music. I associate imagery, like things just come to me as I've listened and as I hear. I feel like that's how I've perceived music a lot of my life. So I'm just kind of like, I don't. Oh, you know what? Like Sour Melon. I was like Sour Melon. Like, this song. It kind of sounds like it makes you go. Like you just say something sour. Something
Yeah.
So just something like that. But also, there's other songs that have very, very deep metaphysical meanings and spiritual things attached to them that, if one was to ponder, you could come up with some meaning. So it's luck of the draw, as is the music making experience. I prefer to go bass, drums, guitar when I'm laying down a song, but however it comes out the hat.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really cool, dude. So speaking of your projects, Strawberry Soul Patch, the EP. Tell me about it. How'd it come together? Why now? Give me everything.
Strawberry Soul Patch. I have a list on my phone that sometimes I'll think of words that I think just pair well together. Strawberry Soul Patch was one of them. Usually, there are instances where, like, me and Kylie or whoever, we say something funny, and we have a joke. We're like, band name, call it. Like, I think Velvet Indian was one. Nobody steal it. We're still gonna use it. Uh,
Velvet
so like
Indian. That's funny.
So it's just kind of like I'm, and I think as an artist, I'm always like, what's the next album name? What's the next, what's the next tune? What's the next thing? It's gonna come my way. I know it's somewhere in there, out there. So that's kind of how the title came. But um, I don't know, just the strawberry part. I just love the summer feel of it. We just planted strawberries in our garden for the first time too. It's Asher's favorite fruit for the longest time. Asher's favorite color is red. Um, yeah, and I don't know. It just sounds like you know, it's a fruit themed project, obviously, and just kind of associating, the fruits with life. Life is growing, life is coming forth. You can taste the flavor, you can taste the life, that type of feel. So that's a little bit of the title and the concept.
Hell yeah. Hell
Um,
yeah. What a win. Well, I mean, just like we said at the beginning, man, I mean, when you finally are able to release something, whether it's an episode or a project or a song or anything, it's a huge peak and it's a real good feeling and it's an accomplishment in and of itself. So congrats on releasing that, man. I mean, I downloaded it the day it came out. I've listened to it. And they're jams, man. I mean, I definitely got to. I mean, I love Vanilla Mango, man. The video you put out with it too is fucking hilarious.
Shout
Um,
out Ian Fleming, man. That dude killed it.
I mean, just the whole just. I looked at it before we started recording too, and I was like, "How did you?" I mean, like, how did that video come together? Like, I want to sit there and be a fly on the wall during the brainstorm session that took place when that video was coming together. How was that? I mean, that was a real ass horse you were chilling with.
Oh yeah, shout out Bojack, man. The blessed horse Bojack.
That's a
Man,
dope ass
would you believe it? Would you believe it? That's not the first time I've obtained using an animal for free in a music video.
for free.
Balling on a budget, bro.
Hey man, you got to make it
We,
happen somehow.
I'm a total fan of just indie, homegrown, figure it out. It doesn't matter. Stop with your I need money and this and that. No, work with the limitations you have and produce the most pure thing you can. Don't worry about, I need this camera, I need this instrument, I need this software. Like, dude, if it comes down to it, I have to make music on my phone because all my equipment breaks. Like, I don't care. You have to push through that. So I've always and I've always been a broke 20-year-old, a broke teenager. Like I've done so many music videos and such. Me and my buddy, we were in a rap group, Two Shades Deep, from Dallas, Georgia, and we filmed the video in a Waffle House. I think it's still up. It's called Boiled Fish. It haunts me every job that I'm at. They always find it somehow, and they're like, "Look at you!"
That's freaking awesome.
But the horse, basically, I just I started. We actually had a totally different idea planned, but some plans fell through, so we had to freestyle. And but I always planned on using the horse regardless. I just made like a post on Facebook. It was like, "Yo, I'm gonna be in Georgia. Shout out my Georgia peeps. Who's got a horse I can use for a music video?" The people came through. The blessed man Russell. It was basically my the best man at my wedding. It was the best man at my wedding's roommate's girlfriend, who was a trainer of this 13-year-old girl. So technically a 13-year-old girl. She let us use the horse.
Shouts to that 13-year-old girl.
Yeah, and that horse was awesome. I kind of feel like I related with that horse. They were like, "Yeah, this horse, he had a real rough start. They gypped us. They sold him to him for a lot of money and said he was broken in and this and that. And like they totally lied. And like, he had a real stubborn personality, and he took a lot of time and training. And but now he's shaped up. And I was like, you know what, Bojack? Yeah, I'm no better than you, buddy. I'm right there with you. So I was like, shout out Bojack, man. He was the sweetest horse too. Like, you feel so much power, in between your legs when you're on that thing.
Dude, it's unbelievable how being on a horse is so cool, but it's terrifying at the same time because that is a monstrous animal. And if it
You really
wanted
don't
to,
know.
it could kill you easy.
Yeah, yeah. You could
It's
you could just fall off it. Your collarbone will break. Like
it's
they
a
really are just
it's a
like
tremendous trust that a man and a horse bond together. Like, I mean, so the fact that there was a time that humans primarily used horses as transportation, like
baller.
you for real, dude. Like, can you imagine how gangster it'd be? You're shooting hoops with the homies and you just roll up on a horse. I mean,
Got no horses in the back.
um, another thing I just thought of. So you kind of, when you identify, like when people ask you what genre of music you do, what would you call it? Funk?
I primarily say funk because I feel like that's the most consistent sound of it. But I usually just say it's funky, it's chill, it's feel good, like it's calm, it's peaceful, it's relaxing. I said it'll make you dance. Hopefully, it'll make you smile. You know, that's usually my elevator pitch. So it's a little hard to describe because I also feel that it can sometimes be a little genreless. Like it's such a collage of sounds that it's like, huh, because there's a real hip hop instinct to it too sometimes with the drums. Like I try to incorporate that in a sense. So uh, that's pretty much, like I said, my elevator pitch for it.
Well, it's a good pitch. Do you ever see yourself getting, I mean, not breaking out, but like trying other genres? Or do you think this is your sound? This is who you are? Or kind of like how you kind of started out doing hip hop stuff? Do you think your musical career evolves over time? Or do you think you found your shtick?
Could I say both? Because you know, I know it's kind of a corny answer because, like, you ask somebody, "What do you listen to nowadays?" A little bit of everything. It's like, really, like you like Norwegian death metal? You know, it's like everyone says I listen to everything, which it is very true. Like, I think the musical lines are so blurred now. Everyone is familiar with this rap album. Everyone's familiar with this pop album. Everyone's familiar with blah blah blah. Like, everyone definitely is more diversified in their music now. But when I ask that question, I just want to know, what makes that person tick? Like, who's their, who are they throwing on and singing in the car when no one else is around because they're embarrassed? But if
Right.
if you look at my iTunes library, it's like you're gonna find, funky James Brown from the 1960s. You're gonna find hip hop from the 90s, hip hop from beyond. You're gonna find like I'm a huge fan of like Persian Iranian funk music from the 70s, pre-revolution Iran, bro. Before the government came in there and said no more secular funk electric guitars, bro. Like I love city pop, 80s Japan. Like if you think funk couldn't get any cooler, it's like, well, just go listen to a bunch of Japanese people do it in the 80s and it's like, whoa, this is amazing. Like, I mean, they're so great at math, and music in a sense is just math, and in a way it's like they are insane. It's like Asian musicians over there. There's so many famous city pop artists, and so there's a lot of things that I listen to. I can't pronounce the names. I don't know how to say the artist names. Like there's weird Russian tracks. Like so it spans a huge thing. I have that marching band backbone, so I got exposed to a lot of classical music, a lot of marches, a lot of I've played drums at the trans LGBT theater in Atlanta, the big one there. Like I've
Yeah.
played I've played old people theater shows. I've played almost any type of church. I've played at bars. Like I've played wherever. Like there's so many musical experiences I have to pull from that I see the trajectory of it going. Like it's boundless. What I think, like, I might come out with a really soft jazz samba album. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's totally in the cards. But at the same time, I do feel that like I have really finally narrowed down like I believe now, like if you heard Booker Fraudger playing guitar on a song, I think you could identify it like that sounds like Booker Fraudger. So it's kind of a weird dynamic like that. It's like a yes and a no, but I do lean more towards stay in the lines. Stay like I want to take all the crazy stuff and just sprinkle it in. It's like music's a very well seasoned dish. Like you don't want to go too heavy on the salt, right? And I my mindset with music is I think anyone could say, well, I think a lot of his music sounds the same, and I wouldn't mind anyone saying that. Like, yeah, it's funky drums, sweet bass line, and like some good chords, and hopefully a good melody in there. That and like not trying to stay too long, take too much of your time all the time when you're listening. But I really am careful about these are my ingredients. I'm not adding too much more. Maybe I want a little more vanilla this time in the cake or whatever. But like I try really hard to like give myself very specific limitations when I'm making music because I was hindered for so many years because I was like, I'm gonna make the next Pimp a Butterfly, like this unobtainable goal.
Sure, sure, absolutely. So, Brock, there comes a point in every conversation I have with people where I bring it back and I ask everybody the same grouping of questions. So, whether I'm
Okay.
sitting across from, to bring it back to your Pimp a Butterfly reference, if I'm sitting across from Kendrick Lamar, I'm going to ask Kendrick the same group of questions that I'm about to ask you just to bring it all back and make it relatable for everybody listening. Are you ready for
Love
these
it.
questions?
Love it.
All right. Number one, what is your favorite movie of all time?
The Invisible Fight. It was a Russian flick that came out last year, 2023.
Okay, I'm gonna have to write that down and check that one out. Um, I'm
Amazing.
very intrigued by your answer to these next two, so I'm just gonna fire them off. Do you number one? Do you believe in aliens?
No,
You and Jordan ride the same train,
no way.
bro.
Yeah, I'm
Bro is
sorry. Everyone's
willing to
gonna hate it.
fight to the death about how there's no aliens out there.
I'm not willing to fight to the death about it, but I've just thought, man, it seems like I don't know. Yeah, I know people disagree. I'll just be controversial and say like I just think they're demons. Straight up, straight up.
I mean, they could be. If they're out there, they could be demons.
It's like I think what I've experienced this in psychedelics too. I think when people's minds are open to things and they're just, like with psychedelics, a lot of people they do acid or shrooms or whatever, and it's such an out of like they don't have a category to put that experience in, and so the natural inclination for a human when they have an experience that's above themselves and a little intangible to describe, it's a pretty natural line of thought to then be like, well, this is God. And I mean, just to reference the earlier conversation, like I came to Jesus Christ on a mushroom trip. So it's like, yes, something like that could be a conduit to help humble yourself and realize you really don't know shit and the universe is way bigger than you think it is. And maybe you need to be shaken out of your little world as we all do in general. But going off of that, like I see how psychedelics and things like that, like I did that. Like I opened my mind up to things and my heart up and my soul up to things that I just don't think were good. I think aliens, I think it's kind of the same thing. Like I think it's like, if we're rolling with the demon theory, which I said, like I'm not going to argue on someone with Facebook about it. Like it doesn't like I can just live my life and not believe in it and it's fine. And people say, look at this tangible proof. Look at this tangible proof. If spirits and demons and things like that exist, like we're physical beings, they're immaterial beings. They need, it sounds kind of corny, but like that show Supernatural, I
Yeah.
always tell people like in that show, it's very, very, it's almost the exact same, like a demon or an evil thing, whatever people want to call it, whatever their cup of tea is, uh, it only can come into you if you let it. Like the host in that show, Supernatural, like you have to
Sure.
say yes to. and you know, like they can't just violate it. And that's kind of like but I'm not saying anything that like the monk Seraphim Rose from Russia, an Orthodox monk, 50 years ago, they were writing about this stuff and whatnot. So I'm not really shooting out my own opinion, to be honest.
Yeah, got you. So then part B of that, and you made some references to it in that answer, is do you believe in ghosts?
Again, yeah, like I think ghosts are just manifestations of demons trying to convince you, like, I'm your relative, so be cool with me.
That's a really deep answer, and I like it.
Well, who would you
Um,
open yourself up more to than someone you're comfortable with? It's like it's the ultimate
that's correct.
deception.
Yeah, it is the ultimate deception. That's really well put. Um, next one. Are you a coffee drinker?
Oh my god, I'm too addicted. Like I need to get off of it. I'm like crazy about it.
What is your coffee order?
It just depends. I don't like ordering coffees out because they're never as good as the one that I can make at home. I'm getting that
Sure.
when my espresso machine worked, it broke down probably after years of using it. But I would do like shot of espresso. Now I just use coffee, coffee over to ice, pour in the heavy whipping cream, put in some of that vanilla almond milk, put a little maple syrup in that, honey if you're feeling extra, take the honey out, maybe substitute it for some cinnamon. I don't know what the drink's called. I probably need to name it, but I'll make an iced one like that. Or if I have a latte machine, I'll make myself a cappuccino. But I like black. I like just black coffee if I can't have something bougie and fancy.
Okay, cool. Very
What
cool.
about yourself? What's your
Um,
drink of delight?
I don't know, man. I'm pretty basic. If I'm doing a coffee, I'm doing it pretty heavy on the creamer. You could say that I drink my creamer with some coffee.
Gotcha.
So I'm real sissy when it comes to coffee. I don't. I'm trying to get on the bandwagon of drinking black coffee because I know it's better for you than destroying your body with all of the sugar that comes with creamer. Even if it's sugar free, it's still not great for you. Um, so I try to drink like sometimes what I've done recently is I'll instead of using creamer for the coffee, I'll throw in like a protein shake, and that's the creamer that I'll use. So you're getting, I guess, protein from it. I don't know. It could be just as bad for you as creamer, but screw it.
I also was not a coffee drinker. I just like would get something at Dunkin's, give me them 3 pumps of syrup, bro, or whatever. And
Yeah.
honestly, the only reason why I turned is because my wife, like, she was a barista for a while, and so I think just like having someone at your side that's like, what's the difference between a latte and a cappuccino? Like, I was just able. Anytime we're at a coffee shop, I'm like, how do they make this? And then like eventually I started doing it myself. And I'll tell you though, the key that got me into it, if you drink black coffee, if you just do it for like 5 days in a row, do it for a week or so, you will like it after that. That's all you got to do. Just
Damn.
force yourself to drink 1 cup of black coffee a day. You'll love it after that.
Okay. That's a bet. Um, Next up, do you have any allergies?
I don't think so. Jordan's always been the one with the pollen allergy thing, but you know what? This year I was starting to feel it a little bit. I'm like, oh gosh, but no, I was allergic to penicillin when I was a child, but thankfully no allergies.
All right, good deal, good deal. Um, Rank these three dips for me: queso, guac, and salsa.
Queso number one, guac two, salsa three.
Good answer. Good answer. Um, where do you consume music? Spotify,
Apple.
Apple, YouTube, Apple.
I I use Apple. I do have YouTube Premium though, so I've used that for years. And my buddy Malachi, he's fortunate to let me use his Spotify if because Spotify is the superior music app. I just have to give it up to them. Like they have way of a bit greater, bigger music selection, and the app is better. But I'm a lame Apple guy with a Mac and a iPhone, so I'm like whatever. I've had Apple Music my whole life.
Correct. That me
and
and
on my
Jordan
music
have shared.
playlist.
Yeah, I mean, me and Jordan have shared similar discussions of like, I'm just an Apple nerd. You know, they could admit to supporting something like horrible, and I'll be like, that's horrible. When's that next iPhone come out, though? Like, you know, like they could be like, yo, we've been funneling money to like terrorist organizations for years. And I'll be like, oh, that sucks. When's the new Apple Watch coming out? And,
Yeah, you're
uh,
watching it on your goggles.
yeah, for real. Like, if anybody's gonna purchase $3,000 pair of goggles, it's me. It's gonna be me. I definitely
I like the
shouldn't. I
honesty.
feel like that'd be a very poor financial decision. But hey, you know, we'll see. Um, all right, this is gonna be a fun one for you. These next couple are gonna be fun for you. So you get to organize a 3-day music festival. We don't care about the little guys. I want you to pick a headliner for Thursday, a headliner for Friday, and a headliner for Saturday. Who are those 3 artists for you?
Okay, okay, headliner. Uh, we're gonna do Duran Jones and the Indications. They're gonna be that Thursday night, the opening show, and then that Friday night. I think we'll probably do Khruangbin, and then that Saturday would probably be have to go with Mac DeMarco.
Okay, very good. I'm not going to lie, I've never heard of any of them.
Worth looking up.
All right, I will. I will. Always down for some recommendations. And I know for this next one, you said that your vocals are the thing you are least confident in. But if you're getting a little crazy and you're busting out a microphone and you're doing karaoke, what's the go-to karaoke song? It's just a song that you can
Ooh.
belt from your inner being.
Um, that's a damn good question right there. What song would I throw on? I'd probably do like Earth, Wind, and Fire. This song called Reasons. Uh, it's like a love ballad. It's like, and the reason that we're here. You know, it's like very falsetto. So I dig on that one quite a bit. That's probably my go-to karaoke song.
Badass. All right, sick. Earth, Wind, and Fire is a vibe.
Oh
Um,
yeah, goaded.
I know that you have a young child, so of course you have obligations there. But let's say your wife is out with your kid and you have no obligations, no responsibilities, no things to do around the house. What does your stress free, obligation free Saturday look like to you?
I only do two things. Like if I'm not if I'm not making music, like I'm reading or I'm praying or I'm studying church history. Like those are about the only two things that I do. I just fill my time with those things. I'm much more similar with the music. It's like I only want a couple of things to work with. I think a lot of our lives are very busy, and like I live in a 266 person village in the middle of Wisconsin, and you know the closest town's 10 away, and there's 10,000 people there. So it's like we live a very separated, simple, calmer life. And so, on top of that, like I said, I've always kind of just been like what I'm into. Like, I'm just into that forever. Like, I knew at 5 I wanted to get married and have a kid. I knew that I wanted to do music. And then when I was 19, like, I just knew, like, yep, the whole Trinity thing, like, that's my vibe. And so, that's pretty much it. You know, I love film and movies. Obviously, I'm really desiring to release a short film for my next project. That's been a dream of mine forever, is to be able to like drop a film on some caliber with music going along with it. I think that would be just the coolest thing ever. But so I watch a movie, you know, here and there, but rarely. Like I don't like. I'm not trying to spend my time watching YouTube videos. I'm not trying to waste my time. Like I'm very, very particular. Like I'm gonna do something productive. If the most productive thing is to chill out because that's what I need because I'm in motion too much, that's cool too. But like, I need to keep myself busy because like I'm a lazy dude on the inside, and I need parameters, which is why my
Yeah.
wife is my biggest blessing, and my son is my biggest blessing because they give me parameters, and I can't act like a crazy man. I have to provide. I have to live a certain lifestyle. So like, I try to be focused and diligent when I am. But yeah, pretty much reading or music. It's it's not very exciting. Like anyone could guess on their hand what I'm probably up to at that moment. At any time, you could guess what I'm doing.
Good. Um, all right. Here's a couple deep ones for you. Um, what does success look like to you?
I mean, to success would be to be what it means to be human, and obviously with my beliefs, that would mean to accept that you are made in the image of God, and the ultimate perfection of that would be uh, deification, like immortality, manifesting like that. That's pretty much the peak. I would argue you see that in the resurrection of Jesus Christ. You see him, the whole thing was he absorbs death. He's on the cross. He has death. He dies, and like a parasite dies when the host dies. But in this case, that host was God. So obviously, he rose from the dead, and that resurrection, I would say that the resurrection you see in the Son of God manifested in human flesh, like that is the ultimate point that a human is to get to. And then from there he actually takes it farther, and he ascends on high and he sits next to the Father. So for me, I can't help but say the ultimate goal would be to exist in eternity with the Trinity and the saints and the angels, and not some like my floaty spirit things up there like a fart cloud ghost, like talking we're physically immortal, like heaven and earth have become one. There's no
Yeah.
separation, and I pray I'm there. I think that's what's cool about Orthodoxy is coming from Protestantism. Protestantism, you're so convinced that you're getting into heaven because you said a prayer. That's like what you bank on your whole life. It's like there's no way I couldn't go. Like, and now I just love the humility of Christian Orthodoxy, which is more of an approach of, man, I need help to get there. Oh my gosh, look at me. Like, I want to get there. Like, it's so much more of a humbling experience. But hope that answered the question.
Yeah, it answers the question perfectly. That's a very great answer. I love and respect all of that. Um, next up, what is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Best piece of advice I ever heard in my life was from a man named Larry Summerlin. He was my drum teacher in high school. He taught the drum line. And I think I was about 15, and he said to the whole class, well, the reason why he said this was because something like his child had jumped off of a bunk bed. He's got like 5 kids, and one of them jumped off a bunk bed and like got hurt and had to go to the hospital. And so he had to leave practice, right? And from my understanding, like the band directors or whoever the higher ups, they didn't like that too much. And he doesn't care, of course, I'm sure, because this is his family. And the next day he came back and he said, this is the piece of advice he said that has given me the most clear parameters that my life has needed. And I was 15. I didn't go on to apply these. Ash was 3 years old. I'm 26. I had Ash 3 years ago, so it's like this quote becomes more fruitful for me that now that I'm with a family and growing and all these things. The quote was, "When it comes to my job and my family, I pick my family. When it comes to my kids and my wife, I pick my wife. And when it comes between my wife and God, I pick God." I just love the way that balances all out, for
Yeah,
me, because I understand that.
certainly.
Uh,
Absolutely, man. I love all that. Um, what is your biggest fear?
Man, my biggest fear, um, not doing what I'm supposed to do for my son and for my wife. That's my biggest thing. It's like I'm someone that like I really could drop the ball. I could have. I have an addictive personality. Like I was addicted to drugs for a long time in my life in very unhealthy manners, and I still go through things in that realm, but they don't touch at all. When I was totally depressed and crippled, and I was just trying to freaking numb my whole existence just to make it through the day or whatever. So it's nothing on that caliber anymore. But I think a lot of us kind of look at homeless people or anybody that's we deem poor or ugly or nasty or just like kind of whatever. I think we look at them and think, oh, I could never be like that, and it's like I don't feel that way. I look at the crackhead and I'm like, that could have been me, man. That could have easily been me. And so I think that I kind of realize that I have that natural proclivity to want to be lazy and which is so funny because I am someone who gives it my all, but the other stuff totally like I give my 110% for the things that I'm into, but the things that might actually just what I'm into that might not be what I need to be focusing on, and you know
Correct.
exactly that family gives that structure of priority. I really think, but so I'd say that's probably my biggest thing is like I just there's no greater hope for me than for my son to just come out a well-groomed, loving man who shows forth love to others. And I pray I can treat my wife good for her own sake and for the sake of my son Asher. He has a good example.
Absolutely. That's very admirable, my friend. And then the last one I have for you is, what is your favorite and least favorite quality about yourself?
My least favorite quality about myself. I just instantly at the top, you just want to say pride. At the end of the day, though, I've kind of realized, like when you can examine your own brokenness, you can then see the brokenness of all the other humans around you. So it's like, even though we could talk about how the manifestation of pride in my life looks like A, B, and C, right? But in your life, it looks like X, Y, and Z. And so, on a personal level, like not so broad, like obviously at the root of everyone's life, I do believe that our pride is what hinders us from becoming better human beings, and it's just
Sure.
manifesting in whatever your avenue was that we experience brokenness in our lives, and then without knowing it, we're growing up in this culture and like we're cleaving to things that think nurture us and when they're actually crutches. And I'm the king of that. So uh, uh, the Father Chris at my parish, he says, when you point a finger at somebody else, you're actually pointing three fingers back at yourself. And I feel like that is they say when you hate somebody, you're really just hating that thing in yourself. Is kind of the idea. It's like that part that you hate about that person actually exists in you, and you're just like you're trying to stomp it out of yourself in this weird way. So I guess pride would be the big overarching thing in a really specific way, just so I can put myself on a cross more and not give like a broad answer. I guess let's see. Um, do I want to train myself that when I want to do the things that when I first initially think I need to do this, I want to jump on that. I'm someone who wants to put things off. I want to just be like, oh, I'll get to it. I'll write that paper the night before. Like uh, most of the times I have my songs done early, and I've tried to be very diligent. There was one song I had though where like I did it like a day or two before, and I knew I wanted to release it, and I was rushing, and like I can't. That was a real clear example to me. And by the grace of God, the song came out all right. But I've remembered that feeling of uh, you know, like I put the parameters on the music. I drop a song every first of the month. That's what I started this year. This month, I dropped the project on the first of the month. But I'll be dropping a song this Saturday, June 8th, for me and Kylie's anniversary. A little anniversary song I've had in the pocket for a little bit. And so that's probably the quality about myself I want to work on the most. And then all the little things like where we lie to ourselves, we lie to other people in just these very tiny, minute ways, and it's the little things I want to work on. I want to, like, it sounds dumb, but when you throw that napkin away and it doesn't go in, but you walk away, I take that shit serious in myself. I'm like, no, I need to go back and I need to do this because I believe that it can be a transforming thing, right? I'm sacrificing my own will for a greater thing. I want to have order in the universe, a clean world. So that's probably just around the type of things I want to work on. What do I like best about myself? The best quality? Um, I just, I mean, I know there's 1,000 people on the earth that unfortunately like think that I'm a huge dick, and some of them I could totally justify and understand why, and other ones I know they're just seeing blindness, and there's bitterness that dwells in the heart there because of whatever. But I think my favorite thing is about myself is, like, if you're my friend, you're my friend forever. I will I My buddy would make fun of me. I said, well, I'm just gonna, in high school, I said something like, well, I'm just gonna forgive him. And he was like, yeah, of course you are. And I was like, what does that mean? I didn't, it struck me. And I said, what do you mean by that? He was like, that's just you. You always give in and always let that other person in. And that kind of made me like, him saying that made me realize, like, yeah, I guess that is my philosophy. It's actually harder for me to let people go. That's actually more of a difficult thing. But I think just feeling a warmth towards people, that's my favorite thing. I just fit, whether it's your best friend or the stranger you met on the street, and met a dude today, took Asher to the park. Yeah, he was an interesting looking cat. I don't think a lot of people would have talked to him, but he had his little kid, and like, I just, I wanted to talk with him and stuff. And come to find out, he's there at the park, and they go there, every time that his wife has to do chemo in the hospital, and it's like, just instantly, just the warmth of heart that I felt for this man. And and we stayed and played with them, for an hour, and he shared his food with my son, and it was like, it doesn't matter, like, I have to be careful, actually, now that I have a family, like, because I used to be the type that's like, I don't know this toothless stranger, come get in my house, yeah, like, come, please, like, take a shower, like, let me make you a latte. I've had to kind of be like, okay, like, I got to protect my wife and my kid. But so I know it's a long answer to both of it, but probably that. I just value friendship, and just, I don't know. I wish I could just bind up everyone I know and just protect them all, and just give. I wish I could, you know, nail me to a cross for him. If I would say that, I would die on a cross for that guy. I just joke like that.
Well, I love that, man, because I definitely agree with you on pretty much everything you just said. I think, and that connection that you made with that guy today, I mean, something that was so trivial as like, oh, he looks funny. I mean, it turns out him and, your son and his kid are playing together. You're talking with the guy, and they go to the park together to escape the nightmare that they live at home with, his wife that is sick, and to distract his kid. I mean, it's such a human connection that so many people listening and just people out there just understand, because I mean, it's such a dark time to be going through something like that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
your conversation with that guy and Asher playing with that other kid, that probably made his day, man. And I hope you know that. I mean, like, it's truly, truly admirable, because there's a lot of people, including even myself, if I look inward a little bit, I mean, I might not have talked to that guy. And you never know what someone's going through. That's what everyone always says, you never know what someone's going through. If someone comes in, if you deliver food or you DoorDash something and they answer and they bitch at you, you never know what's going on when that guy closes his front door. I mean, so it's just, I really admire everything you said about human friendship and human connection and everything, because I've always bled that to my core. I've always said that I wish I could just take everybody that I love and respect and care for and wish the best for, and just hold them tight, and so that nothing bad can ever happen to them. So I love that you said that, man. I love that.
Yeah, I think the ultimate goal And I think everything you said was so beautiful, and I can definitely see that heart within you, just the way you. I know I've seen you interact with people in the flesh, actually, and you got my wife was whooping all you cats at bags, you know, um, but I think for me the ultimate goal is to get to the place where like I disregard what I think about a person and I take away all the categories that I would place them in and I'm just looking at them as human. And then for me, farther than that, actually, human's a pretty heavy, beautiful thing, just saying that, but for me it extends further, like this person's the image of God. Like if I took that, I'm saying on air right now, like I have not achieved this sort of mindset that one can have. I do believe it is one thing to be worked towards constantly for all of our lives. But it's like if I had reverence for this person that is actually reflecting like divinity, like it's reflecting something greater than just humanity. I think to reach that mindset and to not put those people in categories, that's for me the ultimate goal. And I'll just end with this story too. In that point, again at our parish this Sunday, the scripture they read was the story about the woman in the well, John 4, and like uh, she's like this outcast. She's had 5 husbands. Like back in that day, like Jesus' disciples, they roll up, and I knew it wasn't an insult or a joke, but like in our day and age, the way the scripture reads, it sounds really funny, like an insult. It says Jesus' disciples came up, and they wondered at why how he talked with a woman, and it like kind of sounds like super like that dude Jesus, he ain't never talking to ladies. How's he talking to a woman? But it was actually like a thing of like, oh my gosh, you're a holy guy, and you're just talking with this woman in public who's a Samaritan, which is a half
Yeah.
breed Jew. Like you can see the line of thought. Like these disciples are coming up, they're judging this chick so hard. They're actually judging God too, because they're like, why are you talking to this person, God? And
Yeah.
that chick literally went on she went to her whole village. She said, come meet the man that's told me everything that I've done. Then the whole city embraced Christ. And then even after Christ had died and resurrected and rose and all that stuff, like she went on to preach like tons of places, to the point where they literally tortured her kids and said, if you don't renounce Jesus Christ, and she didn't renounce it. And some people might be like, that's effed up, but you know, what are you willing to give up for what you believe in? Like I said, I understand how people would see that. I heard that and I was like, damn, would I freaking, if I saw Asher getting tortured, like, what would I do? What would I do? You wouldn't know until you're in that. But my whole point was the disciples, man, they came up with all these presuppositions about who this lady was. And yet she received God with a pure heart, and she caused everybody else to. And 90, years later, the Apostle John, he's writing his gospel, and he's like, I got to put this lady in the gospel because look at how wrong we were. He exposed himself, you know. So I think it's a lifelong journey. It's with all of us trying to freaking get out of our little selves, and our little boxes and how cool we think people are.
Absolutely, dude. Very well said. So now this is your platform. We've talked about it a little earlier, but go ahead and plug yourself, plug the music, plug socials, plug anything that you want to get the people to go and visit.
I am primarily the busiest on Instagram. I think it's probably the coolest platform. I like it the most. I like the people on there the most. I like the vibe the most. I'm not on Twitter. Um, I'm on YouTube, though. Also very active on YouTube. That's pretty much it. I do a little on Facebook, but not too much. I don't get too much action over there, which is fine. Facebook's a weird atmosphere anyways, but it's at Booker Fraudger, Booker Fraudger, Fraudger, like I'm a big fraud. All right, Fraudger, at Booker Fraudger, both YouTube, both Instagram. I also upload to music to Bandcamp, Sometimes there's hidden extra things there that you won't find anywhere else, possibly. But the Bandcamp page is predominantly for if anyone's like, you know what, this sour melon song or this Strawberry Soul Patch EP, it's pretty good. I'll give this guy $5 for it. You know, like it's kind of like if someone decided this is really good, you probably spent some time on this. You know, buy yourself a coffee. I'll buy your album for. I think it's on there for like $7, something like that. So that's just more if people do, but I'm more than satisfied just having it on Spotify and iTunes for free for people like that, or you know, everyone uses their streaming services, but YouTube, Instagram, Bandcamp, that's it pretty much, and then anywhere you listen to music.
Hell yeah. Well, Brock, thank you so much for giving me your time. We just spent some time talking about Asher and your wife, and I appreciate you taking the time away from them to do this with me. It was a pleasure getting to know you more today, and it was a pleasure getting to know you back when you came into town for a few days, a month or so ago. And I just wish you continued success, dude. I love everything you're doing. I love the music. I love, you know, your brother's one of my closest friends. So automatically you're a close friend as well. You're all family to me. So just wish you continued success. And I can't wait to see what's next from you, my guy.
I appreciate the kind words, all of it, you know, reciprocated straight back to you. Hopefully I can come on another time and it could be a little bit less about me and a little more, you know, just about you and some other fun stuff. But I super appreciate you letting me on here. It's an honor. I think this is the first interview that I'm doing out of the spurts of interviews I have lined up with different things. So I think this is the coolest and best way it could have been kicked off for some Strawberry Soul Patch promotion live right now everywhere. That funk for your trunk.
Well, beautiful. Everybody, I'm going to throw all of his links in the description of the episode so that you can easily access them. His Instagram, YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify, anywhere you can go to consume his content, his music, his stuff. I'm going to link in the episode description so that you can easily access it. With that being said, thank you all for tuning in and listening to Brock and I's conversation today. Again, send it to a friend that you think could use our conversation to start their day. Thank you very much, and see you guys next time. Bye-bye.